Good day, everyone, and welcome to another insightful session on thinkBIGradioZOOM platform. Thrilled to be your host today, and we have a powerhouse conversation lined up for you. I'm Ken Big Blake, your go-to expert in real estate, business, and funding, and I'm honored to be joined by a true luminary in the field of assisted living, the one and only Felton Wooten. With over 40 years of dedicated and award-winning service, Felton has been a beacon in the assisted living industry, consistently setting the standard for excellence. Today, we delve into the wealth of knowledge and experience that Felton brings to the table. So sit back, grab your notepads, and get ready for a conversation that promises to be both enlightening and empowering. So before we officially start, Felton, how can our listeners reach you?
Our listening audience and viewing audience can reach me through my website, and that is qualityoflifeeldercare.com. Again, that is qualityoflifeeldercare.com.
And for those of you guys who are on here with us today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that chat and I'm going to type that website in there. It's going to take you right to his about page. And as we move through, I'll be sending you a couple of different pages so that you'll be able to follow along. Now, Felton, let's start by sharing with our listeners your passion for this industry and how you got started.
I'm driven by three principles, and it came about because I started as a nursing assistant in a psychiatric uh, unit of a hospital. And the experience that I went through as a nursing assistant and seeing patients being treated, some I felt like was successfully going home, others I felt like they were going home and return. But out of the situation of caregiving, I determined that I really wanted to make a difference in healthcare. I wanted to make sure patients were taken care of with respect and dignity. I wanted to make sure that when families left a facility that their loved ones were in, that they felt comfortable leaving their loved one in the care of individuals and individual caregivers. But, and most importantly, to make sure the patients are taken care of and the families feel comfortable, you got to take care of the staff. So I always wanted to make sure staff were educated and they had the tools to become the best caregiver possible. And also making sure that staff were treated with respect and dignity. And with that training, also explaining why certain things have to be done a certain way. So that has been my passion and the three guiding principles that has dictated how I managed facilities.
So we're going to move into the unlocking opportunities, assisted living facilities, investing in family care homes, seniors, and your legacy. One of the first things we're going to cover is the licensing part. And right before you get into that, can you kind of give them just a history of where you worked and some of the accomplishments?
Yes. Uh, I've been fortunate in my career. I've worked and managed facilities that were as small as 120 people or 120 beds with about 100 to 150 employees to under one roof, 360 patients and residents with a population of staff of about 200 or more. I've also been fortunate in my career that I think because of my driving principles and my desire for excellence, I've had 7 deficiency-free surveys. And what that means is that it's a perfect score. Like when we're in school, if you get 100, you get all the answers right. Well, within healthcare, nursing home, or senior care facilities, there are about 370 elements that are reviewed in an annual inspection. And only about 15% out of all the facilities in the nation receive a deficiency-free survey. So I've been fortunate enough to have led teams where we've had 7. Also, I'm proud to say that because of because of how I treat staff and our excellence, staff submitted my name, and I was also selected as the Administrator of the Year for North Carolina. So I'm certainly proud of the accomplishments, but it's also a team effort to achieve those accomplishments. Right.
So on this particular call, when we share the marketing, it's definitely about uh, people who may have someone that's elderly in their life, and instead of put them in a home, they want to see if it's feasible for them to keep them in their own home, and as well as a number of investors that look to have these homes built from the ground up, or have existing homes that they like to get into this industry. But one of the biggest things that comes up is licensing. So can you kind of just go over a little bit of the licensing?
Yes, by all means, Big. And one of the things you mentioned, the term legacy. This gives individuals and families a way to pass on generational wealth through the business. I don't know that people realize that 10,000 people turn 65 every day. And by the year 2050, 20% of the population will be comprised of seniors. So there's a need and there's an opportunity. Um, One category when you look at the licensing, when you have a problem, that's an opportunity for business. Um, so in the licensing of a family care home, the family care home has a maximum of 6 people in a home. And the average home that is conducive to providing care to up to 6 people, it's an average of about 3 bedrooms uh, and 2 bathrooms. So that's the general size of of a home. The licensing process is that again, I'm speaking specifically about North Carolina, but nationwide they're pretty similar. But for North Carolina, uh, the license is received from Department of Health and Human Services. So there's an application process. First of all, you look at your home and determine if it meets the qualifications, having at least 2 bathrooms for a maximum of 6 people. The average size of the bedroom, if it's one person in the bedroom, it's 100 square feet. If it's a if it's 2 people in the bedroom, the minimum requirement is that it's 80 square feet per person or per bed. So that's the general size.
So that general size would looks like it might be about 10 by 10 for a single room, and maybe what, 16 by 12 or 14 by 16 or something like that if it's going to be 2 people in the room.
Yes, that's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. All right.
All right.
And I share with you that the ideal number with 6, and that's qualifications for a family care home, it keeps your costs down for operations, for the construction element of your home, and also the licensing process. So that you have your application, you need to have designated someone who is the licensed administrator for your home. Because when you submit the application, you have to have that person listed as administrator and filling out that paperwork. Along with that, then you have gone through a checklist to determine the bedroom size, other amenities such as the 2 bathrooms. If depending on what kind of residence you're going to admit, what kind of assisted devices you will need. But again, that checklist helps you in determining that. And the license process can range from about 4 months up to about 9 months. And there are two ways that often people open a family care home. Some people have an existing home. It could be a family home, it could be a parent's home, and you're trying to figure out how to make it income producing. So you have a home that you're going to convert, or you may build one new as a family care home. The other way people sometimes move into the family home business is that there are family care home owners that have become weary running a business, or they want to retire, they want to do something differently. So you take over operations of that and you're transferring the license. So again, those are the two scenarios of how you start going through the licensing application.
Now, one of the things that we're going to look at too, and what you mentioned was the different types of clients, and I know that we have a couple of myth busters that'll come up as far as what people think may happen in a family care home. That's far, 100% wrong. Uh, So when we talk about those different tiers of qualified candidates, what types of invoices make the most sense for an investor? And then as well as if you're already, have someone that's older, just go over those different types of tiers as well.
Sure, sure. Um, I'd like to share that in a couple of situations, I've had individuals whose parents or their loved ones were aging, and they didn't want to put them in a big box type facility to operate. So they met the requirements to convert their individual home to a family care home. They were able to keep their family member within the home, but also they were able to put other people in the room and charge them for the services in a family care home. There are basically three tiers or the three levels of wellness, I guess you could say. Tier one is a resident or senior who is fairly independent but needs some supervision. They may have a small number of medications, two or three, but they need someone to make sure they get their medications timely. Uh, they might have some slight confusion, or they may not have the abilities to cook. So that level, the person is, of course, able to walk around. They need some assistance with medications, but they need just overall supervision. Level two or tier two, a person is a bit sicker. Um, they may have more medications. May have some difficulty getting in and out of the bed, may need some assistance with bathing, but overall, they're still able to function, move around, but they need that supervision. And the third tier or the third level are residents who are also may suffer from dementia. And a lot of times with tier one, two, and three, some level of dementia may be present. But tier three, a person might require more assistance getting in and out of the bed, more assistance with helping with their clothing. They may have more medications than tier one and tier two. They may have some adaptive devices or devices that help them with their medical condition, such as a catheter bag, where it could be administered by the staff and taken care of. And then with the tier one, two, and three, there's a different charge for tier one. That would be the lowest amount, and it may end up, uh, and also depends on the area of the state that you're located. It could be $5,000 to $6,000 a month. Tier two, where a person's needing more assistance, it might be 6,500 to 8,000 a month. Tier three, where there are a need of more assistance, could be from 85 to 10,000. I just want to just give you that range And it all, again, it depends on what part of the state that you're in. It's nice to have the combinations also because uh, with tier one, that person is more of a well senior or well elder, and they can also assist in the socialization. And again, with tier two and tier three, that's important that you have that socialization and people feel connected because of the age group of their housemates. Yeah, so that gives you a general idea of the combination within the facility.
So part of the reason that we were getting together is because of there's so many people with 3-bed 2-bathroom homes or 3-bed 1-bathroom homes, and they might be in some type of financial trouble, or the mortgages are a lot higher now, and just like we are talking about building a legacy. What's one of the reasons that you believe that this 3-bed 2-bath, or up to 5 people for 1 bath, is it? Uh,
Yes, yes.
like what
The
makes this a great opportunity, and you being in the industry this long, identifying that.
Yes, it's a good opportunity when you keep it at that six maximum, and that's considered a family care home. When you go higher than six people, that's another category under that umbrella of assisted living. When that occurs, then there are additional regulations for the structure of your home. Uh, you might need a sprinkler system. Not might. That is one of the requirements at seven or more. Uh, because of that break, six people to seven people, structurally there are more requirements and more costly, and also the license renewal fee is more expensive for seven or more. Uh, Also, just the kind of additional requirements for record keeping or regulations are a bit tougher when it's seven or more. So six is a nice manageable number with less regulations, also less structural requirements that can be costly.
So what we'll go into now is the numbers, the typical costs and profits across the USA for 3-bedroom 2-bath. And can everybody see the screen that we're scrolling through? So we're sharing the screen. If you just kind of wave your hand or give a thumbs up or something. So you'll see we're down here where it says the numbers. Everybody pretty much see that? Okay. Some of
And
you might
Big,
be on.
I'd like for you to really share those numbers, especially with your background in real estate and finance, if you don't mind covering this part of our presentation.
That wouldn't be a problem at all. So guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the page so that you guys can follow along a little bit as I go through this. So the numbers for a 3-bed 2-bath, and we're looking at 5K to 10K per room, depending on the tier level that you choose. I went right in the middle. So as he was saying earlier, about 5 to 6 thousand for the assistance tier one, and it depends on what state and what area as well. The assistance tier two, 65 to 8,000. Assistance tier three, 85 to 10. So we're just gonna go with that 3 beds with averaging about 7,000 per room. So that's gonna be 21,000 monthly, which comes out to $252,000 a year. There's going to, of course, be staff. And so the staff, we're looking at first shift, that's going to be a supervisor. And as we also spoke about earlier, that each place had to have an administrator. So the first shift being $20 an hour, they're going to average 8 hours a day times 30 days is 4,800 monthly, 57,600 yearly. Second shift and third shift, they're pretty much the same, 15 hourly, respectively 43,200 a year for both of those. Administrators, depending on the state, 55 to 70K annually. We went with just a middle of 62K, which is about $5,167 a month. Now, of course, this being a business, you get to choose what somebody's going to make hourly, or if you want to pay them on salary. And what we do is use it as a independent contractor. So that way, when we're paying them, we don't have to go into all of the other different things, that really hit us as far as healthcare and matching and all of those different things. So there'll be independent contractors that will be hiring for those positions. And this here is just just an estimate, so to say. Food expenses for 3 to 4 people is 500 monthly. That's 6,000 yearly. And so I thought that number was quite low, but Felton broke it down. And then I remembered in my traveling days across the country assisting people save their homes, I ran across a couple of people that were seniors, couples, and they were basically spending about $50 to $60 a month on food, and this was 2 people. So he reminded me of that as he kind of broke down why that number might seem really low to me, but a lot of seniors don't eat, and I'm not a senior, and I don't eat 100% of the time. Once a day, I'm very good. So the breakdown on that is that yearly income, which we saw was at $252,000. Those expenses come out to $212,000. Those gross profits come out to $40,000. So with that monthly income being 21, the expenses being 17,667, the monthly gross net is at $3,333. Now, of course, we know that there's a PITI payment after that. We know that there's light, gas, water, cable, all of those different bills. And depending on if you're renting, how much you're making renting and then paying those bills, most people not really averaging, especially when they're starting out, $2,000 or more, or $1,500 after someone pays the rent. But what I want you guys to look at is that he said there was 3 bedrooms. You can have at least 6 people if the room size is right. So if you were just to add one more person to this, that would increase that yearly income at $7,000 a room to $336,000 yearly. Your expenses would still be the same because you would really need those 1 people per shift. Then your gross profits at that point is $124,000. Your monthly gross net at that point becomes $10,333. Then, of course, those other expenses, PI, light, gas, water, lawn care, so forth and so on. One of the things that we did here was we just used what the room rental could be on an average. But Felton, being in the industry for decades, he knows and has a list of all of the other things that people can also get charged for if you're just providing that type of service. So the room rentals that we went with was just that. So there's also other things that can offset that when you're dealing with family and friends. So Felton, if you could take over, and I'm going to share this page right here with that number breakdown so you guys will be able to see that. And Felton, if you can give a couple of examples of how this has worked for some of the people that you've dealt with, and we'll go a little bit into what we're doing here in North Carolina as a pilot market, and what we're going to take across different areas of the country that have that need.
Yes. An example of managing a family care home. Again, as Big mentioned, there is a cost that is basically the room and board cost. But additional services might look like hair care services for a woman or a man. Um, there could be additional charges for services if a person wants to go shopping or go on errands throughout the week. So there's different ways to increase your revenue. One of the things when you look at the cost of food, you can also incorporate lowering your costs, but also providing activities, what we call activities of daily living, because a lot of times with seniors, they have come from a lifestyle of having a garden, and you can have an activity where you're growing food, and then an activity of canning or freezing, and then the food that has been grown, you put that in the freezer, and that you use that for your meals throughout the year. So there are lots of ways to increase your income and also provide the quality of life that is conducive for seniors and the people within the house that you're providing that care for.
So before we go into the Q&A session, can you please share your contact information again? And after
Yes.
he shares his contact information, remember, if you have any questions, we just want you to say, hey, what your name is, where you're from, your question, he'll answer that. You can raise your hand, or you can just come on. And this is the unlimited part. So when you guys grow tired, it'll be the end. All right. So how can we reach you, Felton?
Yes, you can go to my website, and that website address is qualityoflifeeldercare.com. Again, that website is qualityoflifeeldercare.com.